Here is our warm-up for today. Hopefully you've completed it and are now checking your work and seeing if you got it right or wrong. To write this equation, since all they give us is the slope, or 2 points, is we need to find the slope first. So for problem number 1, m equals, and it's going to be negative 11 minus negative 3, be careful of your negatives, and 7 minus 3. The minus and negative comes plus a positive, so we have negative 8 over 4, which means our m value is negative 2. So currently our equation says y equals negative 2x plus b, and now we need to find b. So we need to pick one of the 2 points. Doesn't matter which one you pick again, I'm just going to pick the first one. So where the y is, I'm going to replace it with negative 3 equals negative 2 times my new x value of 3 plus b. Negative 3 equals negative 6 plus b. We need to get b by itself. So we add 6 to both sides. So 3 equals b. Now that we have b and m, we can finish writing our equation. Y equals negative 2x plus 3 is the answer for number 1. Again, if you had used the second point, you would have gotten the same answer at the end. Moving over to number 2, same concept. The more you practice this, the better the skill gets, and this is a very important skill in Algebra 1. So we find our slope, m equals 9 minus 6 over 4 minus, be careful of that negative 2 there, 9 minus 6 is 3, plus a positive becomes 6, and 3 over 6 we can always simplify to 1/2. Now we need to see what information I currently have. So I'm left to find b. I'm going to choose the pair that's positive. So I have 9 equals 1/2 times 4 plus b. Well, half of 4 is simply 2. And to solve for b, we're going to subtract 2. Now, one thing I should have done on the first one that I didn't, or that I'm going to do here, is they do tell us to write the function. So we don't put y equals, we do put f of x. 1/2 x plus 7 is your final answer. And again, number 1 should also have f of x instead of y. This is the classwork assignment you were working on yesterday. Here are your answers for 1 through 5. You can actually see 1 through 10. I do have all the work on the next pages, so I'll be scrolling up. Anytime you can always hit pause in order to see. You should have been working on these in your groups yesterday, so I won't be explaining them. Today we're starting 7.2. We did skip 7.1, and we're going to be talking about operations with linear functions. Linear functions, we know that that means it's going to graph a line. Function means we'll be using our f of x, g of x notation. One of the things that you can do is you can add and subtract linear functions, which really and truly is just like combining like terms. So if I look at the examples they gave us, here are my 2 functions, 2x plus 9, 6x minus 1, and the first thing they want to do is add them together. So we write f of x, which is 2x plus 9, g of x, the 6x minus 1, and we look for any like terms. So the 2x and 6x from here and from here, and then the 9 minus 1. 6x plus 2x is the 8x, and then 9 minus 1 becomes 8. So h of x, because it's a new function, is 8x plus 8. Then they ask us to find j of x. This time we're subtracting. Now with subtraction, we do have to be careful of mistakes here. So make sure you put these in parentheses, it's very important. So we have f of x, again, the 2x plus 9. Minus, in parentheses, 6x minus 1. The reason it's so important is because we have a minus sign, which means we have to distribute a negative. So when we distribute that negative, the 6x becomes a negative 6x, and then a negative times a negative 1 is how this becomes a positive 1. We then look for like terms again. This time we have 2x minus 6x, so that's negative 4x, and then 9, and now a positive 1 becomes a positive 10. So our first reflection question says that f of x minus g of x and g of x minus f of x would be equal to each other. Is he correct? And explain. This should be something you can explain without actually having to do any of the work. So try to decide among your groups if you agree that no matter which one you put first, it will still equal the same thing. Hopefully, and pause if you're not done, we answered the fact that it would not be the same, would not be equal. Subtraction is not commutative. If you had 1 minus 2 and 2 minus 1, you would not get the same answer. Same thing when you are subtracting functions. The order does matter with subtraction. Now we're actually going to practice our skills here. We're going to do one of them together, and then you'll do the other part on your own. The first thing they ask us to find is the sum for h of x. So sum plus the addition sign, we were going to add the functions together. So we're adding f of x which is 3x plus 4, plus, with a plus sign, it's not as important to put in parentheses. If that helps you so you don't forget during subtraction, feel free to put them in parentheses. Negative x plus 2. And now we look for like terms. So I have a 3x plus negative x, so that's going to be 2x. I then have a positive 4, positive 2, which will make a positive 6. So h of x, our new function, is equal to 2x plus 6. Now the second part to this question says to find the difference. So go ahead, work on it, confer with your groups when you get your answer, and then unpause in order to check your work. With the difference here, it says f of x minus g of x. So this time we have j of x equals 3x plus 4 for f of x minus, and now here's where you do have to put it in parentheses, negative x plus 2. Before we do anything else, make sure you distribute the negative. So I now have 3x plus 4. The negative and negative x makes a positive x. And then the negative and the positive 2 make a negative 2. Now we're looking for like terms. 3x plus x would make 4x. And this time we have a positive 4 and a minus 2, so that's a plus 2. So our second function is j of x equals 4x plus 2. Next, we're going to be multiplying a linear and a constant function. Linear means that it would form a line. Constant means it'll be just a number. So we're multiplying a number times an expression, which means we'll be using the distributive property. So again, they've done one for us here. It says to take f of x, which this time is just 4, so there's your constant, and g of x, that should have a negative 3x there. So if your workbook doesn't have an x next to that negative 3, go ahead and add it. And we're going to multiply f of x times g of x to create h of x. So f of x is again 4 times negative 3x plus 2. So when we distribute the 4, we get negative 12x plus 8. Go ahead and answer the two reflection questions. Answer them first individually and then check your answers with your group before you unpause this. For number 3, in order for something to equal 0 when multiplying, one of the two would have to be a 0, because anything times 0 is 0. We know g of x is 5x plus 6. That's not 0, which means f of x would have to be 0. For question number 4, Kelly thinks the product of f of x, which is 6, there's your constant, and g of x is 4x plus 8, is 24x plus 8. She got the problem halfway correct, but you have to take the 6 and distribute it to both the 4x and the 8. So she really should have gotten 24x plus 48. So no, she's not correct. She did not distribute. We have 3 year turns. Go ahead and answer the 3 questions with your group members. Again, you probably want to try them individually first and then unpause. For number 5, to create h of x, we're taking 7 and multiplying it by 4x minus 2. So when we distribute, h of x should have been equal to 28x minus 14. Number 6, to create this h of x, we are taking a negative 3, so be careful with that negative, and distributing it to 2x minus 11. So this h of x is equal to negative 6x. Now when you multiply it to the negative 11, that's going to make it a positive 33. And the last one, yes, we have a fraction, but 1/2 is the easiest fraction to deal with. So we have 1/2 times 14x minus 8. So when we distribute, half of 14x is 7x, half of minus 8 is minus